today's show, a big announcement from iRacing, interview with Dave Kaemmer, top sim cars of all time, and a second look at the G27.
Welcome to Inside Sim Racing. I'm Jessica Lopez.
Darren Ganji here.
Thank you guys for joining us. We actually just passed our 2-year anniversary from when Darren and Sean first started the show, which was Sim Racing Tonight.
Yes, indeed we did.
So it's kind of a big show for us today, and you guys actually had a big weekend as well, right?
Yeah, we did. We were invited up to Infineon Raceway this last weekend, and big press conference for iRacing.
iRacing announced their partnership with the Indycar series.
Right, IRL. And yeah, they announced the Dallara and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So.
And they're actually going to be having the, what is it, Indy 500?
Yeah, the Indy 500 next, Memorial weekend. They're going to have a whole big thing next May. And
so you guys going to be playing that?
Oh yeah, we're definitely going to be involved in that.
So that's some big news over at iRacing. And speaking of iRacing, to celebrate their announcement, we're going to be giving away 2 subscriptions.
4.
2
3 months.
Right, 2 for 3 months.
1-year subscriptions we're giving away on this show. Big deal.
To iRacing.
Yep.
And
got the question. I got
okay.
the question for the first one.
Well, let's hear it.
First question for, now we're going to have a drawing. 2 people will win 3-month subscriptions to iRacing.com. And oh, by the way, you're going to need PayPal or a credit card to activate these. So if you're under 18, you don't have a credit card or a PayPal account, you're going to need to have one. So just know that going in before you enter this contest. So our first question is, when did the Indy Racing League form? What year did the Indy Racing League form? So.
And stay tuned for the rest of the questions throughout the show.
One more question only, that's going to be at the end of the show for the 2 1-year subscriptions. So stay tuned for those.
To enter this show's contest, go to InsideSimRacing.tv. Look for the contest logo, fill out the form, and good luck. And I heard you also got to meet your hero.
I did, as a matter of fact. Dave Kaemmer, who, started all this for me, really, back with Indianapolis 500, the sim. And what a cool guy. Got to spend pretty much the whole weekend hanging out with him, and Sean got an interview with him. Isn't that right, Sean?
Yeah, dream interview, I'd say.
Yeah, and
so
we actually one of our goals when we started this show, and we told Dave this when we met him, was to meet and interview Dave Kaemmer. So
that's awesome.
2 years, almost to the day, we got to do that, so it was pretty exciting for us.
It just kind of worked out itself, right?
It did. It was just a coincidence, and the same weekend that they announced. What also was a coincidence, I guess, to the month 20 years ago is when Dave made that first title in Indianapolis 500. So all of us everything's kind of
tied in together.
And on the same month, our 2-year anniversary, and it was a big deal for them. So pretty cool stuff.
So stay tuned for Sean's interview with Dave Kaemmer. And in the meantime, we're going to go back over to iRacing. We're going to show you guys a piece that you guys put together on their Indy.
Yep, on the Indy car, the Dallara, the Indy 500, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So
let's take a look.
On August 22nd, Sean and I ventured to wine country in Sonoma, California, honestly not knowing what to expect. Steve Potter and Kevin Bobbitt of iRacing told us about a press conference that was taking place during the IndyCar Racing Series weekend at Infineon and invited us up to attend. We speculated that they would be announcing a partnership with the Indy Series since we were told that Dave Kaemmer would be there as well as Tony Gardner and a good portion of the rest of the staff. Not only did iRacing announce that partnership with the IndyCar Series that we attended on Saturday, but they also announced the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the Dallara IndyCar.
The main reason for our announcement here today is that we have signed a partnership with the IndyCar Series, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Dallara Automobili to bring the Indy Lights cars and the Indy cars to iRacing.com. Finally, in May of next year, we're planning on doing a month of activities. We'll have an entire qualifying that people can do, the members, early in the month, and then it will culminate with an actual virtual Indy 500 that anyone will be able to drive in on Memorial Day weekend.
Sean and myself both got to turn some laps in the Dallara at Infineon and then Indy, and it is a beast.
Love that.
Definitely the most powerful car on the road course side of things in iRacing. Besides getting to check out the Dallara and Indy before the public, going to our first official press conference, being trackside for the races, and riding in a two-seater IndyCar, we got to sit and watch Justin Wilson run many laps in Infineon and the new Indy.
Until I have the proper setup.
Get it to stop.
Listen to him mention how the bump is real exiting the pits.
Yeah, that bumps there. Where's it? Couple of rock balls in there, how good. It's 7 o'clock. That stopped fast.
Our weekend was topped off by sitting down for an interview with Dave Kaemmer, who most of us owe a big thank you to for many years of sim racing. Matter of fact, a group of sim racers met up at the iRacing mobile marketing trailer and got to thank him personally. Check out the new Dallara at iRacing.com coming next season, which should land somewhere near the end of October. Indianapolis should also be available soon. Stay tuned for part 1 of our interview with Dave Kaemmer at the end of this show.
When I was there, he was there.
You guys were hella close to that track, Darren.
Yeah, we were really close. It was a trip. I got to admit, it was a little scary.
Looking at the footage, I would have been scared myself. Were you guys scared at all?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was shaken scared, but definitely aware of the fact that the cars were screaming by us very close. And like Sean mentioned before we started rolling here, we did not want to turn our backs on those cars because God forbid something happens, a tire, piece of suspension comes flying at us.
Well, now that you were that close, how do
SRT
you...
would be no more.
Right? Now that you've been so close to the track, how do you think it compares?
To the real deal?
Yeah.
iRacing's definitely got it down. We just got home and started turning a bunch of laps after spending all that time on the track, and we were sitting in a tower that's modeled in the sim, and then the cars seem very realistic.
That must be really interesting to be at the track in person and then play and
It was.
race and, just for comparison.
I was dying to get on the track last night to run some laps, and the last couple nights, and they're running the Mazda this week, so we were out there running that. So yeah,
Awesome.
It was pretty cool stuff.
All right, well, a lot of people out there who've watched the last episode, our G27 review, had a lot of questions that we didn't have time to answer, and you guys, Darren and Sean, have more time to...
Actually, Sean put a little piece to it.
Play.
Actually, Sean kind of took that wheel over. I've had a few of my own on my end, so Sean's been the one testing it. He put a little piece together about some different things that we figured out about it, and so
Its compatibility and
Yeah.
stuff of that sort. And go ahead and send it over to Sean to see what he has to say.
With our recent G27 review, we feel there are certain things that maybe we not so much overlooked as much as didn't give enough attention. And one of those was the shifter. Now on the shifter, you can see they are very similar, this being the G25 and this being the G27 shifter. Now let's start with the G25. A lot of people who are familiar with it know about this knob right here. And this knob here, my famous word knob, allows us to switch modes. So right now I have it in 5-speed mode, and then with this knob you can switch it. Now in order to do that, you actually have to depress the shifter a little bit, and then you turn this over and it becomes a sequential shifter. and that means just up and down, giving me 2 button options basically. And to be honest with you, I usually paddle shift when I'm racing. And I tended to use this, well, honestly, as an e-brake. Richard Burns Rally, one of my favorite things was using this as an e-brake. Now on the new shifter for the G27, you'll see that knob is no longer there. And the shifter comes with just the 5-speed, actually a 6-speed and reverse shifter. And in the case of the 2, they did make it a little more robust. There's a little more spring effect into it. And one of the downsides of this shifter was that if you press down, it liked to kind of engage this action for the switch instead of the shifter. And that would kind of make it a little bit clunky at times. On the new shifter, without that mechanism, that doesn't go on as much. However, on this shifter, in order to get to reverse, you do have to press down. So while driving, I did find sometimes getting into reverse could be a little difficult. Now the other topic that came up immediately was compatibility. Everyone, including myself, immediately thought, can I plug this into the G27? They tout this as the replacement wheel. Well, maybe some of the parts will be replacement. So I tried to plug it into the G27, and unfortunately, it was not compatible. So when I plugged this in, it became completely useless, which means for those of you going to the G27, it will be the new shifter. And that takes me to the next topic, the force feedback and the amount of noise the wheel makes. With the smoother transmission of the helical gears, the force feedback is slightly more pronounced. Also, the dead zone issue that some experienced at times with the G25 has been reduced greatly, making the G27 even more realistic while driving. It does, however, make some noise of its own, including this slightly rough sounding vibration at times. Well, I hope that helps clarify some of the differences between the G25 and the G27. But if you're a Logitech fan, you're probably going to step up to this as its replacement. For those of you who are newer to the market, well, the G27 is a great wheel to start out with if it's within your budget. It's a fantastic wheel, and these new features are definitely worth having, with the LED, and I feel the shifter became more usable as a 5 or 6-speed shifter, so those who loved it as a sequential before, well, I use my paddle shifters. Now it's just a matter of would I rather used a button or the knob for an e-brake, for me personally. So there you go.
A lot of people seem to be quite upset about the G25 shifter not being compatible with the G27 wheel.
Yeah, or the G27 shifter not having that new not having the sequential mechanism that was in the G25. Yeah, a lot of guys wanted it for rally racing or just liked running the sequential shifter, but
that's the way Logitech made it. Nothing we can do.
And I think part of it was because that mechanism was a little clunky. So I think they just wanted to go away from it and just go to the manual shifter. So didn't bother me.
Well, we do got a new segment coming up in the show. It was actually inspired by the show Top Gear, right?
Yeah, it was. We're going to do a segment now called the Top 50 Sim Cars. And what we're going to do is we're going to have this ongoing list of cars that we're going to rate, kind of like the car magazines do, like a Car and Driver or Road and Track. We're going to put each car, because each car in the sim is different, we've found. So we figured that each car should be rated differently, just like the guys on Top Gear do. We love that show, so.
And you guys are going to do tracks in the future as well?
Yep, Top 50 tracks will be coming too as well. So we're going to start with 5. Sean and I each picked 5 cars from different sims, so we're going to start with 10 cars.
Interesting.
Yep.
So we're going to show you guys our new segment after this commercial break.
Hi, this is Dave Kaemmer, here from beautiful Sonoma, California. You're watching Inside Sim Racing.
So we're here for something that we're both extremely pumped up about. This is something that's obvious since the beginning of SRT. We've thought about it, wanted to do it, and here it is, and that's the top simulated cars of all time.
Yep, and one of the things we had talked about, when we started putting this together was, we rate the sims. Actually, I don't think we've rated like iRacing. This is GTR2. We never rated that. So But there's so many cars, like in GTR2. I mean, there are 20 plus cars, and a lot of them are, you know, some of the physics may be really great, and some might not be so, you know, so great. And the models may be like this Ferrari 575. That's one of our cars tonight.
Gorgeous
on
car.
the show, and we decided, you know what? Let's rate the cars, and
Absolutely.
let's put together this list.
Yeah, and even though physics is part of it, you know, the physics is dictated by the simulation itself, but the models are something unique, and, you know, we're all car nuts. We know that. So, you know, basically what we're going to do is we said we were going to pick our top 5. We didn't want to drag this out too much. In fact, we have a timer. We're going to be on a strict timer today.
Where's my cell phone? That's in my pocket. We're going to use my cell phone.
We're high-tech today.
Stopwatch on it. I don't know if you guys can see it there. Got a little stopwatch, but we're going to give each car a minute and a half once we get to them.
So what we really did was we picked 3 cars today, kind of get the ball rolling. We're not saying this is the top 3. This list is like Top Gear, guys. Things are going to get pushed down. Things are going to get moved up. It's going to come down to the scores. And, you know, this is just to sort of get things going. The other thing is...
Let's talk about the scores a little bit.
Perfect.
We're not going to tell you... Actually, we're going to have our descriptions of each... how we've come up with physics.
And as of right now, this is all going to be on our forum. We're going to have a whole thread dedicated to top simulated cars.
Yep, we may even have a dedicated page that'll show you what, you know, our description of physics. But this is the first time we've actually done a weighted scale.
Yeah.
One of the complaints in the show is that our rating scale is too linear.
Yes.
That it, you know, the cost of the product shouldn't be as high of a rating or as weighted as high in our scores as, say, physics.
Absolutely.
So, that being said, physics is going to be the highest weighted score here.
It's the most important thing in simulating.
20 points for physics.
Yep.
15 for sounds. But let's go over these points real quick.
Yeah, at least go through the points, and that'll let people know all the categories and why we've weighted them.
15 for sounds, 10 for models. By the way, I got our spreadsheet right here. This is our little score sheet.
And this is something else. We're going to have this spreadsheet, the exact one we use, available in that forum. We want you to download it, fill it out, give it your own scores. Let us know what cars should be on the list.
We'll
Send
go
it
over
in.
that. Yeah,
we're going to come back to this.
So anyway, we got physics for 20 points, sounds 15, models 10, cockpit 10, fun factor 10, immersive, so how immersive the car is, 10, force feedback realism 10, damage 5, skins 5, and default setup 5. So that gives it a maximum points of 100.
And it shows you that the physics and the sound are worth a little bit more than, say, you know, the skins.
Yep. So like what Sean was saying, let's go back to the, sorry for cutting you off there. We want you guys to help us make this list.
Yeah, we want it to be interactive. In fact, we're going to pick certain, you know, requests. We got a lot of people saying pick this car
and use your scores,
and we'll average them in with ours because we want it. You know, our opinion is great, but we want the community to have a lot of say in this.
Yeah, and so that's what we did here. We've averaged these scores between Sean and I. So we're just going to come up with an average score for each car, for each one of these 3 cars, and let's tell them what cars we got for today.
All right, and that's a big deal. The first car up is, and this comes from us from GTR2.
Simbin.
And this is the 575 Ferrari. I mean, for any car guy, I mean, you see these on the street, you see them in race formation. I mean, incredible car.
Going on here.
I love it.
You know, this is one of the first cars I wanted. Actually, I think this is the first car I took out when I booted up GTR2 when I first got it a couple years back. So,
I'm sure you're not alone there.
So, that's one of our cars, and number 2.
The next one's kind of funny, actually. I'm going to tell a little story on this one. This goes back a very long time, Darren and I said, oh, the Lotus has got to be in the list. And both of us never said any more than that, but we meant a certain Lotus. iRacing recently announced the Lotus 79, which is number 2 on ours, not number 2 on the list, number 2 today on the list.
Yep, and we were actually originally talking the Lotus 49, which is probably going to be on this list sometime.
I'm sure it will be.
And then last but not least, we have the
Champ Car 2006, the Champ Car World Series.
Which is the top car in
the Hall of Fame at R Factor Central.
Right.
And that's the community made that decision.
Yep.
And that's made by IDT. So we have 2 stock, that's a bad word. We have 2 in-game cars.
Speaking of that too, this will be available at Sim Raceway, the sponsor of this segment.
Yep.
Very soon. So check out simraceway.com if you haven't yet.
Absolutely.
All right, so Ferrari 575 by Simbin GTR2.
And again, this is an in-game car, so we'll have some mods, we'll have some cars, but let's get this going. So
we're going to start the stopwatch. Now, minute 30. Let's go. So We're going to go over our rating scale as quickly as we can.
We'll tell you the points available and what it averaged between our two, and if there's a big difference, we'll tell you why.
So, first of all, physics.
And that was a possible of 20 points.
Yep.
This is dictated by the GTR2 game engine, but the Ferrari itself.
So 12.5 is what we ended up giving it.
12.5 out of 20.
That was actually our biggest spread out of all of them, so we could talk about that, and that's
Yeah.
obviously the most important. I gave it 11, Sean gave it a 14.
14.
So the reason why I gave it 11, one of my complaints was at Spa, the tires seemed to kind of skip, it seemed. So overall, great feel. You know, one of the things we talk about with physics is where the rubber meets the road, and it felt like there was a tire there meeting the road.
Right.
So one of the things I liked.
And I gave it a 14. Still not a great score, but a little bit higher, and, you know, maybe I just kind of like the thing. Sounds.
50 seconds.
Sounds. So sounds is very important. 15 points. Average score, 13. We both agreed on that one, 13. Pretty simple, great sounds.
And you know what? All the rest of our scores are here on the screen. Let's pick maybe one here, Sean, one more, because we're at a minute. So let's go
All
with
right.
a fun factor. How about?
There you go. Fun factor, it's extremely important, but it's only worth 10 points. And we averaged it to a 7.5 out of 10. So that's a decent score. Not great, but
Yep.
pretty good.
So now our overall score for the Ferrari 575 was a 73.5. So that was taking we have 10 different categories here. That's taking all of them into account. Sean and I separately, adding them together, and then averaging them. So
There you go.
73.5, we're a little bit over. I'm going to stop it there a minute 35.
We did a little extra, but let's move on. Let's get right to, let's go to the Lotus 79 next.
All right, so as you can see here, we've now switched to the Lotus, the iRacing Lotus.
Old school.
Yep, and actually this is the race I ran at Barber Motorsports Park a week or two ago. You know what, I've been saying I was going to finish all these races I missed last week in Silverstone. But anyway.
Filling off the timer. Look
Yep,
at that.
I know. So anyway, going to start the timer up again, minute 30 as of right now. And first up, physics.
20 points, big category, the biggest, and this one was the highest scoring in physics so far today
Yep.
at 17.
Both of us gave it 17.
Yep.
Next up, sounds.
15 available.
This was a little, a weak category for iRacing in this. We actually gave the Ferrari 13s in sounds.
Incredible sounds.
Lotus only got a 9 from Sean and a 10 from myself, and I think it just needed to pack a little bit more punch, a little bit more bass.
Yeah.
The iRacing sounds are a little tinny to me,
Yeah.
but still an incredible car. Models, both 9s out of 10.
And are we going to accelerate? How are we doing on the counter there?
We are at, my phone started dying here.
Why don't we go to
45 seconds, we're halfway through.
All right.
Fun factor.
Fun factor, 10 available.
I gave it a 10.
Kick ass.
I love this car. This is right now probably my favorite sim car. One of them. There's a lot of that I love. But
And I gave it a 9 out of 10, so 9.5 average. Incredible.
we got about 20-something seconds left.
All right,
force
immersive.
feedback realism. How about that?
This is another huge category. Again, iRacing dictates so much of this. We both gave it 9, so 9 out of 10 possible.
All right, so we got 15 seconds to tell the overall score. So I gave it Sean, you first.
I gave it an 81.
And I gave it an 82 overall.
Pretty
so that
close.
made it an 81.5.
Incredible score. Out of 100 possible.
So that again is the Lotus 79 by iRacing.com.
There you go.
And that does it for the Lotus now. So we're going to switch gears here and put up the Champ Car
06 by IDT.
IDT for R Factor.
So we have another open wheeler here. This one this time is straight from the modding community, and as we mentioned, the Hall of Fame all-time highest pick from R Factor Central, now Sim Raceway.
Speaking of Sim Raceway, this segment sponsored by Sim Raceway, home of the one-click install.
So you could win one-click this car right here, and this is the Champ Car World Series by IDT.
IDT.
And why don't we get right to them scores?
Actually, let's get our timer going.
Oh,
Back
I
on
almost
this.
jumped the gun.
Yeah, you were giving them more time now. IDT, you can thank Sean for your little extra time there.
There you go. So physics out of 20 points, it averaged 13.5, so not bad.
That's where you gave it 15.
Yeah, I like
gave it
this
a
one quite a bit.
I gave it a 12. So yeah, 13.5 is where we averaged that. Sounds came in right in the middle of where we scored the other two cars with a 12. Really cool sounds.
Yeah, again, I was a little more favorable at a 13 or 11, but
Models, 9 out of 10.
it's a beautiful, all sorts of
It
detail
is.
on this one. I mean, that's something definitely worth noting.
Cockpit's 9 out of 10. Man, that steering wheel.
The steering wheel, you even have the track map. If it's a track you happen to, they have a bunch of different track maps.
So that's really cool.
Fun
You know what?
factor.
One thing that we have skins we've
Yeah.
talked about. We only give 5 points for that, but We both gave them 5s
Yeah.
on that, and
Every car from that year.
and beautifully rendered skins. I mean,
Yeah.
all the paint jobs are very nicely done.
Absolutely.
So what else? We got about 25 seconds left here.
Force feedback, something we had a little problem with, but
Pain
we
in the ass,
did
actually.
finally get it running. And
You know
ended up
what?
getting
If we didn't get, I did a lot of tweaking on Real Feel to get it right, and for some reason our settings wouldn't stick. If we didn't get that dialed in, Sean was ready to give it like a 2, and I was really low. We both ended up settling on 7, so
Yeah.
we're actually out of time here on this. So let's
So
just give our
overall,
overalls.
it scored a 77 average score out of 100.
Sean, you gave it an 80. I gave it a 74, so I was a little less pleased with it. It's a cool car. I mean, it's definitely a great sim car,
Definitely.
and definitely deserved to be on this list.
And well done, IDT. And that's made for R Factor. So again, one from the modding community.
Yep.
That finishes today's version. You know, we really rushed through these scores. The cars deserve a little more attention than that, but we wanted this piece to come along a little quicker than this. We'd like to have 3 cars on the list right away.
We want to generate some discussion on it too.
Yeah.
We wanted to get your guys' feedback on this, and you know what? We want your opinion on how we weighted these scores. You know,
Absolutely.
Sean and I really spent a lot of time trying to figure out what would work, which one should be weighted more than others,
And how to make it fair for even some of the older cars, because you know we're going to go back to some older sims in doing this.
Yep, yep. So that's going to do it again. We'd like to thank our sponsor, simraceway.com.
And go
home
to
of the one-click install.
and go to our website www.insidesimracing.tv. Go to our forum or the webpage. Download this form. Put in your thoughts about these 3 cars and how you think. You can send us the scores there just to see how you scored on it.
Post them on our forum if you want, and give us suggestions on new cars.
That's the important one.
You come up with a car, you score it, and we feel it. Even if we don't feel, your scores can be completely different than what we have, but if we feel it deserves to be on this list,
It's going to be 1/3 of the vote too.
yep. So send us your stuff. We want you guys to get involved here.
Absolutely.
Actually, you can email those direct to us at info@insidesimracing.tv.
Yeah.
We'll start taking those there.
And much like this piece is going to evolve, I think our website and our forum and how we treat it will evolve as well. We just want to get something up right away so we can get everybody involved. But I hope we can bring this along.
And let's end this by going over them again and which one was the top.
Yeah, absolutely. So how'd they rate today?
So the Lotus 79 out of 100, 81.5.
Great score, but a lot of room to jump up
Yeah,
above
it's
it.
still got, what, 18.5 points to go to get a perfect sim car, and I don't know
Right.
if we'll ever have one, but,
No.
and then second place today was the Champ car, the 06 Champ car by IDT on R Factor. That got a 77.
So 4.5 points behind.
Yep, and then the Ferrari was a 73.5, and you know what? That's a very respectable score for an older sim.
It is an older sim,
So-
but incredible model. I mean, that sucker.
and even
absolutely.
some good physics for an older title.
And the sound, that
Yep.
Ferrari sound.
Yep. So that's going to do it for our top sim car segments. Our top sim car segment, sponsored by simraceway.com, and
We'll keep this one going.
we will. We'll have some probably 2 cars on the next one. You think?
That sounds good.
All right. See you guys later.
Nice new segment that you and Darren put together. I hear you guys are now fans of Top Gear.
Yeah, those guys are excellent. They crack me up. They run a great show for automotive enthusiasts, and what better thing to do than emulate them by kind of copying them and do it in a sim version.
In a sim sort of way.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to other information. Looking forward to seeing your interview with Dave Kaemmer. And you got to meet the godfather of sim racing.
Yeah, and well, you guys talked about at the show. We were at Infineon. We had an incredible backdrop to, you know, this is seriously one of my heroes, you know, and it was a privilege to be able to do it. We talked to him about the new stuff going on to iRacing. I think we'll do another interview with him someday and kind of maybe go back in the past a little more. And speaking of the past, aren't we doing another giveaway on today's show?
We sure are.
Yeah, so before I get to the interview, why don't we hit people with this, and it's relevant to what we're talking about today. What was Dave Kaemmer's very first title? What year did it come out? And who was the distributor? That's for the 1 year iRacing. We got 2 of them, 2-year anniversary, 2 1-year memberships to get away. I'm enthusiastic. This is the best. This is Dave Kaemmer, my interview. So submit for those answers. You can take part in iRacing, and you want to check out that interview?
Good luck, and let's check out the interview.
See why I'm so crazy over here?
Yeah.
Sean Cole with SRT Inside Sim Racing here at the incredible Infineon Sears Point to the old timers, and I'm here with Dave Kaemmer, our very special guest. And how you doing, Dave?
I'm doing well.
Good, good. Before we even get started, Darren and I had a long talk last night, this morning, and first of all, I want to thank you. And the reason I want to thank you is, well, you've provided us with thousands of hours of entertainment. So, I mean, going all the way through the trilogy, I was trying to explain it to a friend. It's like meeting, like maybe if you're a big Dean Koontz fan, meeting that author. I mean, again, thousands of hours of time. So thank you. And this is from Darren as well, and maybe many people out there as well. You know, the Papyrus line and all that, just endless entertainment.
That's great. Well, it makes it 1,000 times more fun for me to do it, to know that people are out there enjoying it. So that's
good.
Terrific.
Good. And we are here today because it's sort of the evolution. We've gotten to iRacing. We talked about it many times on the show. But you guys are here at Infineon with the IndyCar series for a big announcement. Why don't you tell them what's going on?
Well, we are bringing the Indy cars, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and the Dallara Indy cars to iRacing.com. So we're going to have a full IndyCar series and the Indy Lights series. And we just announced today that in May we're going to run a virtual Indy 500 for all the members at iRacing.
Right.
So it should just be terrific. The car, we have it in development now, and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway looks fabulous.
Right.
The car is going to be just a blast to drive. So.
Yeah, we got to play with ourselves, and it was quite a good time. We tried it both here at Infineon, as well as another announcement or a new release coming, which is Indianapolis, which we're very excited about.
No, it's like just a homecoming for me in a way. I mean, I grew up in Indiana,
right,
3 miles west of the track, and that was the first game I ever did. Was
right.
Indianapolis 500.
Right. We showed that way back on History of Sim Racing.
Yeah, don't show that anymore. And so to be able to do it again, come back and take this technology, apply it to Indy again, it's awesome.
Right. All right. Now the car itself, you've done that. It's a Dallara chassis in conjunction with Dallara and Honda and Firestone. All those are on board.
Yep, they all are, and Dallara's been incredibly helpful. They've sent us, their CAD data, lots of aero data. We're going to have. I mean, we still are in the process of building the car, but we have a lot of great stuff, so it should be spot on.
Right, fantastic. And what about the partnership? I mean, with that comes obviously the cars. Are we going to see more tracks to go along with the car and sort of make that series?
Well, we hope to do that. I mean, we have a good many of the tracks that they ran this year. The street circuits are very complex to do. We've scanned Long Beach, and we're still trying to figure out how to make that happen because it's about 10 times the number of objects that you'd see at a normal racetrack.
Right.
So that's a little tricky, and then the other ones, St. Pete and some of the other city circuits are going to be a little tough to do, but hopefully we'll get there.
Right.
We have most of the North American road tracks and then a ton of ovals.
Right.
That they race on. So we got plenty of stuff.
Right.
To be fair, I think we probably want to be running some of our new European tracks too.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely. So sort of a fantasy version of what Indy could be.
Exactly, a fun what if.
Right. Well, that would be good. And when can we expect the car, the tracks, and the timing for some of these new features?
Well, Indianapolis should be out fairly soon. The plan is next month.
Right.
And then with the next season changeover, we're looking to add the IndyCar series, probably at the top of the A rung.
Right.
A road racing. We want to get the Indy Lights in as soon as we can as well.
Right.
Probably stick that in as the B. That is going to be, when is that? November, I think, is the start of the next season, so we're going to be doing that. And then we're going to do this Indianapolis 500 special event. It'll take several weeks, I think, because we're going to do qualifying and then the 500 on Memorial Day weekend.
Right. That will be outstanding. I think everybody's looking forward. Also, in iRacing with the competition structure, that's sort of a new way of going about it. I mean, it's different from the way people have been racing up until now, and sort of a new twist or a new way to have fun there, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it's we've got all this capability to do things. We've been working very hard to still got some more features that we want to get in place, but we do want to start doing some more of these special events.
Right.
I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun for us. It's a lot of fun, I'm sure, for the members.
Yeah, both Darren and I, we'll be preparing now for May, or at least when it comes out, we'll be preparing for it in May. Another question in regards to the IndyCar, like the Mazda, it seemed to be a road car. Well, I think of Indy and IndyCar, and they really now, especially, they're doing both oval and road. Is this a car that'll see its way in the oval circuit and a road? Is it going to be the first mixed circuit?
I think we'll definitely run a mix of tracks for
Right.
it. I mean, you know, it's designed to run both, and I mean, it runs well. You drove it here at Sonoma. It's just a blast.
It was way fun.
So I think we'll run a mix. I mean, it's, you know, some people will say, oh, I hope it's all road or I hope it's all oval, but you know, what makes this series so special is the fact that they're doing it all.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And years ago, when it was the oval series or the road series, you sort of had both, but now it's back to that mixed thing, which I think makes for great racing and really shows your talent and allows some of the oval guys to come in and show where they're great, and likewise with the road guys.
And it's you know, driving on those short ovals in this car is going to be a wild and crazy thing.
Absolutely. All right. What's your favorite sim car?
At this point, probably this one, the new Indycar. It's, you know, we every time we climb in it and try it around, you just start smiling.
Right.
I mean, it's. I love open wheel cars, and that's what I was racing for years in Skip Barber, and you know, to step up and see what you can do with all this horsepower, it's just unbelievable.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so the IRL car, the Indy Lights car will be the leader to it. So this is sort of really starting to fill out the open-wheeled series quite a bit. Yeah. Is the Lotus 79 going to fit into that? Is that going to sort of be a fun car?
All right, guys, so that was part 1 of Sean's interview with Dave Kaemmer. We got part 2 coming up in our next episode. It was about 15 minutes long, so we didn't want to put it all together at one big interview. So stay tuned for that. And in addition, on our next episode, we got some information from Sim Raceway.
And, you know, their site, they got more and more information. I mean, they got some great things coming up for the modding community. If you haven't stumbled over there, check out the thing. But we will have the full story on the next show.
And Race On.
We got Race On. We've got Tech Tips coming back to us again. But we're not quite out of the woodwork for this show because, I mean, this is our anniversary show. You know, we've had a few milestones as well. We just crossed over the 5,000 subscriber mark. And, you know, 2 years, it's because of you guys out there, everybody, the emails and all the enthusiasm about the show. And I don't know, what do you think, 20 years?
I think we just reached our 5,000 mark for subscribers, and I'd like to thank everyone out there for your continued support and watching and subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. And it's kind of a big show. You guys went away for the weekend. You got to meet the godfather of sim racing.
Yep.
2 years since you and Darren started the show originally.
Yep.
So we got a lot going on, and we hope to be here for the next 20 years.
And we're on a new mission. We joke about us with our dates and how bad we are about meeting dates. Every 10 days. That's what we're going to try to do. So you guys can try to hold us accountable. 10 days, new show. That'll be 3 a month coming up. We're pushing. We're
if
motivated.
you subscribe, then you'll be notified every time a show is released. So that way you'll know right away when we do release a show. And I guess that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this show.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us. I'm Jessica Lopez.
Sean Cole.
And for Darren Ganji. Ganji,
man.
the checkered flag is out, and so are we.